Admiral Do-hyun Kim sat very still at the large round table. The room was cold. Too cold. The aliens liked it that way. Do-hyun did not move, though his fingers wanted to tap on the smooth surface. Showing any sign of nervousness would be a mistake. Across, from him, Ambassador Vexillara stared with 6 unblinking eyes. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to glow slightly under the bright lights of the meeting room. The peace talks had gone on for 23 days now. Do-hyun knew they were almost over, not because of progress, but because there was no more time. The Galactic Conclave's position remains unchanged, Vexillara said. Her voice came through the translator with a flat tone. Earth must give up all military forces and accept our protection. This is not a request, it is what must happen. Do-hyun looked at the other humans at the table. Soo Ji-yoon, Earth's chief diplomat, kept her face calm. Next to her, Jae-hwan Lee, the United Earth Government president, looked tired. They all knew what was coming. The people of Earth cannot accept these terms, President Lee said. We are willing to join your conclave as equals. We will share our technology, our art, our knowledge, but we cannot give up our right to protect ourselves. Vexillara's head tilted slightly to one side. This was the only emotion she ever showed. Disappointment, perhaps, or maybe just boredom. You misunderstand, she said. This is not a negotiation. The 11 species of the Galactic Conclave have studied your kind for many years. You are too unpredictable, too dangerous. You fight wars against yourselves. You create weapons that could destroy your own world. The Conclave cannot allow such chaos to spread. The small device on Do-hyun's wrist buzzed once. A message. He did not need to look at it. Only one message would come during this meeting. His heart felt heavy in his chest. When will your fleet arrive? Do-hyun asked. All the diplomats looked at him with surprise. This was not a question he was supposed to ask. Vexillara's eyes narrowed slightly. What makes you think our fleet is coming? Do-hyun smiled without humor. We are not as blind as you think. Our deep space sensors detected your ships changing course 3 days ago. They will reach Earth in less than 48 hours. For the first time, Vexillara seemed truly surprised. The aliens had not believed humans could see their ships at such a distance. Then you know this talk is just a formality, she said after a moment. The decision is made. Earth will be pacified. If you cooperate, many lives will be saved. If you resist, she let the words hang in the air. President Lee stood up slowly. This meeting is over. We will return to Earth and discuss your offer. Vexillara nodded once. You have 24 hours to begin disarming your military. After that, we cannot promise the safety of your people. As the Earth delegation left the meeting room, Do-hyun felt the weight of what was about to happen. The message on his wrist had been clear. Operation Lazarus approved. 10 kilometers beneath the surface of the Earth, Dr. Ha-eun Park rubbed her tired eyes. The underground lab was the most secure place on the planet. Thick walls of concrete and special metals blocked all signals from getting in or out. 2,000 scientists and engineers had worked here for 15 years, hidden from the world. Ha-eun looked at the massive structure that filled most of the central chamber. Project Lazarus, humanity's last hope. Most people didn't know it existed. Even many world leaders didn't understand what it really was. Dr. Park, the final systems check is complete, said Tae-jun Kang, her chief engineer. His face was serious. All green. The system is ready. Ha-eun nodded, but didn't speak. She had hoped this day would never come. When they started building Lazarus, the aliens hadn't even arrived yet. Earth's best scientists had detected signals from deep space. They knew someone was coming. They just didn't know if these visitors would be friends or enemies. Now they had their answer. The large screen on the wall showed a live feed from space. The peace station where the talks had been held was a small dot of light against the darkness. Next to it, the alien ship looked like a blue crystal, beautiful and deadly. Admiral Kim and the delegation are boarding their shuttle now, said Colonel Ji-ho Baek, the military officer in charge of security. They should be back on Earth in 6 hours. Ha-eun walked to the main control panel. Begin warm-up sequence, she said. I want everything ready when the Admiral returns. Around her, the huge room came to life. Lights flashed on dozens of control panels. The low hum of powerful machines filled the air. In the center of it all, the heart of Project Lazarus began to glow with a soft blue light. Ma'am, said a young technician, looking up from her screen. We're receiving a priority message from Admiral Kim. Ha-un walked over. Put it through. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. He was still on the shuttle, heading back to Earth. His expression told her everything she needed to know. The talks have failed, he said simply. The Conclave fleet will reach us in less than 2 days. Their demands are the same: complete surrender, or they will attack. Ha-un took a deep breath. Do we have authorization? Do-hyun nodded. Full presidential authority. All world leaders have signed off. Project Lazarus is now active. When I return, we begin final preparations. When the screen went dark, Ha-un turned to her team. 50 of the world's best scientists looked back at her. Some showed fear, others determination. All of them understood what was at stake. You all know what Lazarus is, she said. Not a bomb, not a ray gun. Something the aliens cannot expect or understand. We're going to show them what makes humans different from any other species they've ever met. She walked to a special door at the side of the room. It required her handprint, her eye scan, and a special code only she knew. Beyond the door was a smaller room with 10 large tubes filled with clear liquid. Inside each one floated a person, connected to machines that kept them alive while they slept. These were the first 10 volunteers. Soon there would be 10,000. Soldiers, scientists, and ordinary people who had agreed to become part of something bigger than themselves. Ha-un placed her hand against the glass of the nearest tube. Inside was an old man who had been a quantum physicist before his illness. He had been the first to volunteer. We're almost ready, she whispered. Soon you'll wake up, but not in the way you remember. Back in the main lab, Ha-un gave the orders. That would set everything in motion. Teams began working frantically. They had less than 48 hours. As she watched the activity around her, Ha-un thought about what they were about to do. The aliens thought humans were dangerous because they didn't understand them. Soon they would understand all too well. May our ancestors forgive us, she whispered as she pressed her palm against the final authorization scanner. We are about to show the universe why they should have never threatened Earth. On the main screen, a message flashed in large letters. Project Lazarus activation sequence initiated. Humanity's darkest hour had come, and they were about to unleash something the galaxy had never seen before. Captain Taewon Cho remembered the day the aliens first came to Earth. It was exactly 3 years ago, a day that started with hope and ended with fear. Taewon stood in the small room that had been his home for the past week. The walls of the military bunker were thick concrete, but they still shook when the heavy transports flew overhead. Soon those would not be Earth ships in the sky. He picked up the photo on his desk. It showed him standing proudly in front of the ship Harmony, Earth's first deep space diplomatic vessel. His crew stood beside him, 20 of the best pilots, scientists, and diplomats humanity had to offer. Their faces were full of excitement. None of them knew what was coming. The memories came back strongly. The Harmony had left Earth orbit to meet the alien ships at the edge of the solar system. Humans had known about the aliens for months. Strange signals had been detected, then odd lights near Saturn. Finally, the aliens had sent a message in perfect English. We come to meet you. Earth had celebrated. First contact, proof that humans were not alone in the universe. World leaders had rushed to be part of the welcoming committee. In the end, only a small team was chosen. Taiwan had been given command of the mission. We bring greetings from Earth, Taiwan had said when they first made contact. The Harmony floated near the much larger alien ship. We offer friendship and peaceful exchange of knowledge. At first things seemed to go well. The aliens, who called themselves the Conclave, invited the humans aboard their ship. Taiwan and 5 others went across in a small shuttle. They brought gifts, art, music, books about Earth history, and offers of scientific cooperation. The alien ship was beautiful inside, smooth walls that seemed to glow from within, air that smelled like flowers. The aliens themselves were tall and slender with blue skin that shimmered in the light. "We are pleased to meet another intelligent species," said the alien leader. Her name was too complex for human tongues, so they called her Ambassador Blue. "We have much to discuss." But then things changed. Without warning, strange devices appeared around the humans. Beams of light scanned their bodies from head to toe. The aliens stepped back, their faces showing what looked like disgust. "You will come with us," Ambassador Blue said, her voice now cold. "We must learn more." For 3 days, the humans were kept in separate rooms. They were not harmed, but they were studied like animals in a zoo. Machines scanned their brains. The aliens asked endless questions about Earth history, human behavior, and especially about wars. "Why do you fight each other?" one alien asked Taiwan. "Why do you build weapons that can destroy your own world?" Taiwan tried to explain that humans had been working for peace for many years, that wars were becoming less common, that most people wanted to live together without fighting. The aliens did not seem to believe him. When they were finally allowed to return to the Harmony, Taiwan knew something was wrong. The aliens had been inside their ship. All their systems had been examined. "We will visit your planet now," Ambassador Blue announced. "We must see Earth for ourselves." There was nothing Taiwan could do to stop them. Lieutenant Jiwoo Choi sat at her desk deep underground in the military command center. Her job was to study all the information about the aliens. She needed to understand them to help predict what they would do next. On her screen, she watched videos of the first meetings between humans and the conclave on Earth. The aliens had landed in 11 different places at the same time. Each landing was the same. The aliens arrived, met with local leaders, and began to study everything about human society. At first, humans welcomed them with open arms. There were parties and celebrations. People brought gifts and wanted to take pictures with the visitors from space. The aliens were polite but distant. They showed little interest in human food or music or art. They wanted to know about governments, armies, and weapons. "Look at this," Jiwoo said to her teammate Hyun-ki Park. She pointed to a video from New York. An alien was talking to a group of children. "See how the alien steps back when the children start laughing? They don't like loud or sudden emotions." Hyun-ki nodded. "Same thing in this video from Tokyo. When people cheer, the aliens move away. They seem afraid of strong feelings." This was the pattern they had found in all the videos. The conclave species were very logical, very controlled. They never showed strong emotions. They seemed confused or disgusted by human feelings. Jiwoo opened another file. This one was from the second week after the aliens arrived, a meeting between world leaders and the conclave representatives. The mood was already changing. The aliens were asking hard questions about human wars, about nuclear weapons, about crime and violence. "Your species is chaotic," one alien said in the video. "You cannot control your emotions. You act without thinking. This makes you dangerous." A human leader tried to explain that emotions were part of being human, that feelings like love and hope and even anger could lead to good things when properly understood. The alien had simply stared, uncomprehending. Jiwoo closed the video and opened a more recent file. This one showed a conclave ship hovering over a major city. Scans showed the ship was full of weapons. The aliens claimed they were observing, but everyone knew they were really watching for any sign of human aggression. "They were never our friends," Jiwoo said quietly. "From the first day, they saw us as a problem to solve." Her computer beeped with an urgent message. The peace talks had failed. All military personnel were being called to their stations. The conclave fleet would reach Earth in less than 2 days. Jiwoo quickly saved her work and stood up. She had one last thing to do before reporting for duty. She needed to call her parents and her brother. She didn't know if she would get another chance. As she walked to the secure communications room, alarms began to sound throughout the base. Red lights flashed in the hallways. Earth was preparing for war. On screens around the world, the same message appeared. All civilians must report to designated shelter areas. This is not a drill. In space, the first ships of the Conclave battle fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system. Huge vessels shaped like blue crystals moving steadily toward Earth. There were hundreds of them. Earth ships moved to defensive positions, but everyone knew the truth. In a normal fight, humans would lose quickly. The aliens had better technology, more ships and weapons humans couldn't even understand. But this would not be a normal fight. Project Lazarus was almost ready. The countdown to humanity's last stand had begun. Ambassador Sang-min Park watched as the blue-skinned alien stood up from the table. The peace talks were over. He had tried everything, used every diplomatic trick he knew, but nothing had worked. The aliens had already decided Earth's fate. This conference is concluded, Vexillara announced. Her 6 eyes didn't blink as she looked at the human delegation. Your species has 24 hours to begin disarmament procedures or face immediate pacification. Sang-min knew what pacification meant. The aliens would attack Earth with their powerful weapons. Millions would die in the first hour. The Conclave fleet was already moving into position. As the aliens left the room, President Lee turned to Sang-min. You did everything possible, he said quietly. No one could have changed their minds. Sang-min nodded but felt no comfort. For 30 years he had solved problems through talking, through finding common ground. But the Conclave didn't want common ground. They wanted humans to change who they were or be destroyed. It's time for Project Lazarus, Admiral Do-hyun said, his voice grim. The president has already given the order. Sang-min closed his eyes for a moment. Lazarus. The project so secret that even most world leaders didn't know what it really was. He was one of the few who understood the terrible truth. May whatever gods exist forgive us, he whispered. Dr. Min-ji Kang stood before the massive metal door. It was 3 meters thick and needed 5 different security codes to open. Beyond, it was the heart of Project Lazarus, humanity's final defense. Min-ji placed her hand on the scanner. A green light passed over her palm. Voice identification required, said the computer. Dr. Min-ji Kang, Science Director, Project Lazarus. Retinal scan required. Min-ji leaned forward, letting the machine scan her eye. Final authorization code required. She took a deep breath. Operation Sunset, authorization Omega 739. With a heavy sound, the huge door began to open. Cold air rushed out. Min-ji stepped inside. The Lazarus core filled the enormous room. In the center was a quantum computer, unlike any other on Earth. Around it, in circles that spread out like ripples in water, were thousands of clear glass tubes. Each tube was filled with a pale blue liquid. And in each tube floated a human body, connected to the computer by thin silver wires. Min-ji walked to the main control panel where her assistant, Dr. Hyun-woo Bae, was checking final readings. Are they ready? She asked. Hyun-woo nodded. All 10,000 volunteers are stable. Brain activity is strong. The neural interfaces are working perfectly. Min-ji looked at the nearest tube. Inside was a woman about 60 years old. Her name was Sun-hee. She had been a teacher before getting sick with an incurable disease. When she heard about Project Lazarus, she had volunteered immediately. We will save everyone we can, Sun-hee had said when Min-ji interviewed her. If my mind can help protect Earth, then my life will have meant something. Now Sun-hee floated. In the blue liquid, her body kept alive by machines while her mind waited to be used in a way no human mind had ever been used before. Min-ji turned to the large screen on the wall. It showed a video call with Admiral Do-hyun and Dr. Ha-yoon Park. The peace talks have failed, Do-hyun said. The Conclave fleet will be in attack position in less than 18 hours. Is Lazarus ready? We're ready, Min-ji confirmed. The quantum field generators are at full power. The neural interfaces are stable. The volunteers' minds are prepared. Ha-yoon nodded, her face serious. Then begin the final preparation sequence. Admiral, We'll need 6 hours to fully power up the system. You have 5, Do-hyun said. Our latest intelligence shows the aliens may attack sooner than we thought. The screen went dark. Minji turned to her team of scientists and engineers. They all knew what was at stake. Begin integration sequence, she ordered, her voice steady despite knowing what horrors she was about to unleash. Around the room, machines hummed to life. The quantum computer's core began to glow with a blue light that matched the liquid in the tubes. On screens around the walls, lines of code flowed faster than any human could read. Minji walked to a special console and pressed her hand against it. Initiating consciousness transfer protocol, she said. This was what made Project Lazarus different from any weapon humans had ever built. It didn't destroy matter. It didn't release energy. It did something far more terrifying. For 15 years, Earth's top scientists had been studying consciousness itself. They had discovered that the human mind had unique properties. Human thoughts were chaotic, emotional, unpredictable. This was what the Conclave feared about humans. But it was also humanity's greatest strength. The Lazarus Protocol would take 10,000 human minds and unite them through the quantum computer. Then, using special transmitters placed around the Earth, it would project those minds outward, not as energy or matter, but as pure consciousness. The Conclave species had evolved to be logical, ordered, predictable. Their minds couldn't handle chaos or strong emotions. Project Lazarus would force the aliens to experience the full range of human feelings and thoughts all at once. No tests had been done. No one knew exactly what would happen. But the scientists believed the effect would be devastating to the alien minds. Transfer beginning, announced Hyunwoo. First wave of volunteers coming online. In the tubes, the sleeping humans didn't move, but on the monitors, their brain activity suddenly increased. The quantum computer's glow became brighter. 10%. Integration complete, said another scientist. Neural pattern stable. Minji watched as the system that she had helped design came to life. Part of her was proud of what they had created. A larger part was terrified. This isn't just a weapon, she said quietly to Hyunwoo. We're changing what it means to be human. Hyunwoo nodded. If it works, we save Earth. If it doesn't, he didn't need to finish the thought. If Project Lazarus failed, humanity would be destroyed or enslaved by the Conclave. 30% integration complete, announced the computer. Quantum field. Stabilizing. On screens around the room, images began to appear, strange patterns of light and color that seemed to move in impossible ways. These were the visual representations of the joined human minds, thousands of consciousnesses beginning to work as one. They're dreaming, Minji said in wonder. 10,000 people dreaming together. In 5 hours, those dreams would become the most powerful weapon Earth had ever unleashed, and the Conclave would learn why humans should never be underestimated. Above the Earth, the alien fleet continued to gather. Hundreds of ships, weapons ready, waiting for the order to attack. The final countdown had begun. The sky above Earth looked wrong. Instead of blue with white clouds, it was filled with hundreds of alien ships. Each one was shaped like a giant crystal, glowing with soft blue light. They were beautiful, in a cold way. And they were deadly. Commander Junho Lee stood on the bridge of the Guardian, Earth's largest warship. Around him, the crew worked in tense silence. Everyone knew this might be their last day alive. Status report, Junho ordered. Conclave fleet has entered high orbit, reported Officer Mina Yoon. We count 736 vessels. Their weapon systems are powering up. Junho nodded. The numbers were even worse than they had expected. Earth had only 86 warships. In a normal battle, they would be destroyed in minutes. But this would not be a normal battle. Any word from Admiral Do-hyun? Junho asked. Yes, sir. Message. Just coming in now. The main screen lit up, showing the Admiral's face. He looked tired but determined. All ships. This is Admiral Do-hyun Kim. Operation Lazarus is now active. Fall back to defensive positions and prepare for unusual events. Whatever happens next, hold your positions. Do not, I repeat, Do not fire on the alien vessels unless directly attacked. Kim out. The screen went dark. Junho turned to Mina. You heard him. Move us to Defense Point Alpha. Power shields to maximum. As the Guardian changed position, Junho looked at the clock on the wall. The Conclave had given Earth 24 hours to begin disarming. That time was almost up. Sir, said Mina suddenly, we're receiving a message from the Conclave command ship. Put it on screen. The alien face of Vexillara appeared, her 6 eyes cold and unblinking. Attention Earth forces. Your time has expired. We detect no movement toward disarmament. Pacification will now begin. Resistance is not advised. The message ended. On the tactical display, Junho saw the alien ships moving into attack formation. Their weapons were fully charged now, glowing with bright energy. This is it, he said quietly. Prepare for impact. But then his communicator beeped with an urgent message. All Earth forces, this is Central Command. Lazarus is launching. Stand by. Across the planet, something strange began to happen. Massive transmitter arrays hidden for years suddenly powered up. They drew enormous amounts of energy from power plants around the world. People in nearby cities watched as the lights dimmed, then came back on as backup systems activated. Deep underground, the Lazarus core reached full power. In the central chamber, Dr. Minji Kang gave the final command. Release the field. The quantum computer at the heart of the project glowed blindingly bright. The 10,000 volunteers in their tubes seemed to pulse with the same light. Their minds, joined together through the quantum field, surged outward, not as energy or matter but as pure consciousness. The effect was instant and impossible to miss. From the Guardian, Junho watched in stunned silence as waves of something that looked like blue lightning spread out from Earth. But it wasn't lightning. It was human thoughts and feelings, riding the quantum field that the scientists had created. When it reached the alien fleet, chaos erupted. The perfect formation of Conclave ships suddenly broke apart. Some vessels began to drift aimlessly. Others fired weapons randomly into space. A few turned and fled at high speed. On the communication channels, strange sounds filled the airwaves, not words, but cries and moans that no translator could understand. What's happening to them? Asked Mina, her voice barely a whisper. Junho had been briefed on Project Lazarus, but seeing it in action was something else entirely. Their minds are being overwhelmed, he explained. The Conclave evolved to be logical and ordered. Their brains can't handle chaos or strong emotions, and we just hit them with 10,000 human minds at once. The scene outside was both amazing and terrifying. Alien ships spun out of control. Some crashed into each other. Others simply went dark, all systems shutting down. The Conclave fleet, which had been about to destroy Earth, was now helpless. Sir, said Communications Officer Daejung Shin, we're getting reports from all around the planet. The Lazarus field is working everywhere. Even the Conclave ships on the far side of Earth are affected. Junho watched the tactical display as more and more alien vessels stopped moving or began to drift away from Earth. Not a single weapon had been fired, not by humans, and not by the aliens. This isn't a battle, he said. It's something else. In the underground Lazarus facility, Dr. Hae-Yun Park watched the data flowing across her screens. The quantum field was stable. The consciousnesses of the 10,000 volunteers were spreading through space, touching the minds of every Conclave alien within range. What are they experiencing? Asked President Lee, who had come to witness the operation in person. Ha-Un studied the readings. Everything, she said. Love, fear, hope, anger, joy, sadness. All the emotions humans feel. But also our creativity, our dreams, our ability to imagine impossible things. Is it hurting them? Not physically, but their minds aren't designed to handle this kind of input. It's like showing 1,000 different pictures to someone in 1 second. The overflow of information creates a kind of mental shock. On another screen, they could see some of what the joined human minds were projecting. Strange images flowed together. Memories of childhood, dreams of flying, the feeling of falling in love, the grief of losing someone important, the joy of a perfect day at the beach, the excitement of a new discovery. "It's beautiful," said the president. "And terrible," added Ha-Un. "We're invading their minds. We never wanted to use this weapon, but they gave us no choice." A message came through from Admiral Do-hyun. "The Conclave fleet is completely disabled. Not a single ship is in attacking position anymore. Lazarus worked even better than we hoped." Ha-yun nodded, but she wasn't celebrating. The weapon had worked, yes. Earth was safe for now. But what would happen next? No one knew what the long-term effects on the aliens would be. "Begin shutdown sequence," she ordered. "Slowly reduce power to the quantum field. We don't want to shock their systems more than necessary." As the field began to weaken, the glow from the Lazarus core dimmed. The 10,000 volunteers would soon be disconnected from the system, their minds returning to normal. Earth had won the battle without firing a shot. Instead of destroying the aliens, they had made them understand, made them feel, made them experience what it meant to be human. "Send a message to the Conclave command ship," Ha-un told the communications officer. "Tell them we are ready to talk when they are. Tell them we never wanted war." Above the Earth, the alien ships were starting to recover. Some systems came back online. Some vessels began controlled movements again, but they did not return to attack formation. Instead, they moved away, keeping a safe distance. The battle that wasn't a battle was over, and something new was beginning. The great doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a soft hiss. All 200 alien representatives turned to look. Nobody had expected visitors today. Captain Hana Kim stepped forward first. She was not tall for a human, but she walked like someone who had seen too much war to be afraid of anything else. Her black uniform was clean but worn at the edges. A long scar ran from her right eye to her jaw, the mark of a battle she had barely survived. Behind her came 4 other humans in similar uniforms. Commander Day Park stood tall and serious, his eyes constantly scanning the room for threats. Tactical, Officer Su Jin walked with a slight limp, her hand never far from the weapon at her side. Science Officer Ji Woo carried a metal case that hummed softly with strange energy. Diplomatic Specialist Tae Ho was the only one who looked somewhat relaxed. Though his smile did not reach his tired eyes, the council chamber was massive. It had been built thousands of years ago when the first 10 species had formed an alliance. Now it held representatives from 200 worlds. The walls were made of a strange material that seemed to shift colors like oil on water. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. At the center was a platform where the most important council members sat. "Who are they?" whispered a small green alien to its neighbor. "I have never seen this species before." "Humans," replied the taller alien with 4 eyes. "They were not supposed to leave their solar system for another 100 years. They were not ready." Council leader Zeltrax rose from his crystal throne. He was tall and thin with skin that looked like polished silver. When he spoke, his voice filled the entire chamber without needing to be amplified. "Humans of Earth," he said coldly, "you were not invited to this council. Your species is not yet recognized by our alliance. Explain your presence immediately." Hana Kim stepped forward. The light caught the insignia on her uniform, Earth's United Defense Force, with its symbol of a shield behind a star. "Honored Council," she said in a clear voice that carried across the silent room. "I am Captain Hana Kim of Earth. We come seeking alliance." She paused, her eyes scanning the room. "And to warn you of what follows in our wake." Whispers filled the chamber. Many council species had been watching Earth from afar for centuries. Humans were known to be curious, creative, and sometimes violent, but they were also very young. Compared to most spacefaring races, they should not have had the technology to reach this part of the galaxy. "Silence," commanded Zeltrax. He looked down at the small group of humans with suspicion. "What warning could you possibly bring that our sensors have not detected? What threat could follow such a primitive species?" Tae Ho stepped forward and raised a small device. With your permission, we would like to show you. Zeltrax nodded once. Tejo pressed a button and suddenly the air above them filled with light. A three-dimensional image appeared, showing a blue-green planet that the Council recognized as Earth. Then the image changed. It showed the same planet, but surrounded by thousands of ships. As the Council watched, beams of energy struck the planet's surface. Entire cities disappeared in flashes of light. The image shifted again, showing human colonies on Mars and other planets in their system being destroyed one by one. The Council members watched in silence as the recording showed desperate battles, human ships fighting against strange black vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. This began 50 Earth years ago, said Hana, her voice steady but her eyes filled with old pain. We call them the Void Collective. They came without warning, without mercy. The image changed again, showing closer views of the enemy ships. Several of the older Council members gasped. Impossible, said a blue-skinned alien with 6 arms. The Void were destroyed millennia ago. They cannot have returned. And yet they did, said Commander Day, speaking for the first time. His voice was deep and serious. First they attacked our outer colonies, then Mars, then Earth itself. Science Officer Ji Woo stepped forward and opened the metal case she carried. Inside was a strange device made of materials that seemed to shift and change as they watched. This is a piece of their technology, she explained. We captured it during the Battle of Europa. It took us 20 years to understand even its basic functions. Zeltrax's silver face showed no emotion, but his voice had lost some of its coldness. If what you show us is true, how are you here? The Void leave nothing alive. Sujin limped forward. Because humans don't give up easily, she said simply. We fought, we lost, we learned, we fought again. Hana nodded. For 50 years we have fought a war we were never supposed to win. We were not meant to discover faster than light travel for another century. But necessity is a powerful teacher. The images above them changed again, showing human ships evolving, becoming more advanced with each battle. The final images showed the small but powerful fleet that had brought the 5 humans to the Council world, hidden, waiting at the edge of the system. We did not come to ask for your help, said Hana. We came to offer ours. The Void are returning to this part of the galaxy. They remember the Council, and they will show no more mercy to you than they showed to us. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Many Council members shouted that this was impossible, that the humans must be lying. Others demanded more proof. Some called for the humans to be removed immediately. Zeltrax raised his hand, and silence fell again. These are serious claims, he said. The Council will need to discuss. He was interrupted by a loud alarm. A large screen appeared at the front of the chamber, showing a distant part of the solar system. Strange distortions were appearing at the edge of the Council's sensors. What is happening? Demanded Zeltrax. A technician at a control panel looked up, fear in his eyes. Unknown vessels appearing at the edge of the system, Council leader. Their energy signature doesn't match any known species. The 5 humans exchanged knowing looks. Hana turned back to face the Council. We warned you, she said quietly. We didn't come alone. War has followed us here. The alarm grew louder as more distortions appeared on the screen. The Council members began to panic. Some ran for the exits. Others shouted orders to their staff. Zeltrax looked at the humans with new eyes. How much time do we have? Not much, said Day. Those are just scout ships for now, but more will come. The Council must hear our full story, said Tejo urgently. You need to understand what you're facing. Zeltrax nodded slowly. Very well. You will be taken to secure quarters. The Council will convene an emergency session in 3 hours. You will tell us everything. As they were led away, Jiwoo looked back at the screen showing the approaching ships. I hope 3 hours is enough time, she said softly. Hana's face was grim. It will have to be. We've been fighting this war for 50 years. The Council has 3 hours to prepare for theirs. Outside the Council chamber, the first Void scout ships entered the system, their black hulls absorbing the light of the distant stars as they moved silently toward the Council world.